Welcome back to Superbly Said Advanced English Vocabulary and Phrases. This critique examines a submitted SpeakDuo lesson plan for advanced English learners, introducing idioms alongside a video clip of Victoria Beckham's viral Rolls-Royce moment. You can go to SpeakDuo.com to meet new people from around the world practicing English on video calls to become more confident with their speaking abilities. Now, the distribution and frequency of the breakout room sessions disrupt the natural learning momentum of the lesson.
Yeah, I completely agree. Looking at the source material,
It's just it inserts a breakout room after every second expression. So right after expression 2, which is can't get enough of, and then again after expression 4, keep it real.
right. It creates this very choppy stop-and-go pacing. The learners are just constantly being pulled back and forth between acquiring new vocabulary and applying it.
Exactly. This rapid switching, it just doesn't give students enough time to build a sufficient vocabulary bank to, sustain a meaningful conversation once they are actually in the breakout rooms.
They just run out of things to say.
Precisely. So my suggestion here is to group the expressions thematically, or just present a larger block of vocabulary before you initiate that collaborative practice phase. Let the learners absorb more material so their breakout discussions can be richer.
That makes a lot of sense. So as a concrete example, instead of pausing for breakout room 1 and 2 so quickly, you could consolidate expressions 1 through 4 into a single teaching block.
Framed around personal preferences and experiences.
Right. Utilizing heavy rotation, can't get enough of, pinch me moment, and keep it real.
And let's actually dig into those phrases for a second, because for advanced learners, the nuance is everything. Take heavy rotation. You wouldn't just say something is in constant replay.
No, in constant replay sounds like someone just hitting a button over and over. Heavy rotation comes from broadcasting. It implies a scheduled, deliberate frequency.
Exactly. So if you're talking to your boss, you might say, our new marketing commercial is on heavy rotation across all major networks. It sounds professional.
Then you have can't get enough of.
Right, which is completely different from, say, can't make sense of.
Right. Can't make sense of is about a lack of comprehension. Can't get enough of is about an overwhelming desire or appreciation for something.
Yeah. Imagine responding to an IELTS Speaking Part 2 prompt where you have to describe a favorite hobby. You could say, I recently took up landscape painting and I just can't get enough of it. It shows a deep, enthusiastic engagement.
Very natural. And what about pinch me moment? You could compare that to a wake me up moment, but they aren't the same.
Not at all. A wake-me-up moment implies a sudden shock or a harsh realization.
Usually negative.
Usually negative, yeah. But a pinch-me moment is about overwhelming joy. It's so good it feels unreal, like a dream you need to be pinched to wake up from.
Right.
So, for an IELTS Part 2 response about a proud achievement, you'd say, standing on the stage to accept my university diploma was a genuine pinch-me moment.
Perfect. And the last one in that block, keep it real. It's not the same as play it safe.
Oh, definitely not. Play it safe means avoiding risk. Keep it real is about authenticity, being genuine, even if it's uncomfortable.
Like in a conversation with a work colleague about a difficult project pitch, you might say, I know the client wants good news, but we need to keep it real about the timeline delays.
Exactly. So you teach all 4 of those nuanced phrases, and following this block, you hold one longer, more comprehensive breakout room session.
Where students are challenged to use at least 3 of the 4 expressions in a continuous conversation.
Yes, that forces actual synthesis. Now, moving on. The lesson plan misses a crucial opportunity to contextually anchor the target vocabulary to the featured video content.
Yeah, this was a big one for me. The document's title explicitly features the video. Victoria Beckham clears the air around her viral working-class Rolls-Royce moment on The Tonight Show.
It's a great hook.
It is. But despite that engaging hook, none of the subsequent example sentences or practice questions reference Victoria Beckham, The Tonight Show, or the viral Rolls-Royce moment.
Nothing at all.
Nothing. The vocabulary examples like a father becoming a successful entrepreneur or a jazz album playing while studying, they feel entirely disconnected from the video the students are supposedly watching to anchor the lesson.
It's a massive missed opportunity. The suggestion here is straightforward. Weave the specific narrative and themes of the video directly into the examples and practice questions
to create a cohesive, immersive, multimedia learning experience.
Right. So let's look at some concrete examples of how to do that. Take the expression come from nothing. Instead of a generic sentence, use an example like, during the interview, Victoria discussed whether she truly came from nothing before her fame.
Which ties perfectly to the video. And let's look at the nuance of come from nothing versus something like grow from scratch.
Yeah, grow from scratch is usually about building a project or a business without pre-existing materials.
Right.
But come from nothing specifically refers to a person's socioeconomic background, overcoming poverty or a lack of status.
Exactly. You might hear it in a workplace setting when discussing a vendor or partner's background. The founder of their company really came from nothing, which explains his relentless drive. It carries so much more weight.
Totally. And returning to the Victoria Beckham examples, for the phrase, take down a notch, you could prompt the learners with, how did the viral moment serve to take her down a notch in the eyes of the public?
That's a great prompt, and take down a notch is an interesting one. It's often compared to bring down a step or the older phrase, take down a peg.
Take down a peg has maritime origins, right?
Yes, it does. But take down a notch feels slightly more modern and softer. It's about reducing someone's arrogance or inflated ego just a little bit.
Right. So if you're chatting with a colleague about office politics, you might say, when the junior analyst pointed out the flaw in his data, it really took the senior manager down a notch.
Yes, it perfectly captures that subtle shift in ego. So weaving the Victoria Beckham narrative into these specific idioms makes the lesson so much more engaging.
Absolutely.
All right, let's hit our final point. The provided practice questions prompt superficial responses, rather than challenging the learners to fully grapple with the nuanced meanings of the idioms.
I completely agree. If you look at some of the practice questions they provide, there are things like, what is a song or movie that you currently have on heavy rotation?
Or what is something you are currently in the market for?
Right. And the weakness here is that these are basically just simple substitution exercises.
Noun drops.
Exactly, noun drops. A student can answer them without truly understanding the subtle context or emotional weight of the phrases. Simply naming a laptop or a jazz album doesn't prove the learner grasps why or how these specific idioms are used in native, advanced dialogue.
Spot on. So the suggestion is to elevate the practice questions, require critical thinking, scenario-based responses, or defending an opinion. Force the learner to demonstrate comprehension of the idiom's unique context.
Concrete examples always help here. Let's look at takeoff. In the lesson, they might just ask, what is a business that took off?
Too simple.
Way too simple. And takeoff has a specific meaning compared to, say, shoot up.
Right, shoot up is just pure, aggressive, vertical speed, like prices shot up. But take off implies a period of runway, struggling, building momentum, and then suddenly catching flight.
Exactly. If you're reporting to your boss about sales figures, you'd say, after months of slow growth, our Q3 sales finally took off. So a better practice question would be, describe a scenario where a local business struggled for years before a single event caused them to take off. What was the event?
That requires a story. It requires understanding the runway phase.
Exactly. And let's look at in the market for. It's not just on the lookout for.
No. On the lookout for is passive. You're keeping your eyes open, but you might not buy anything. In the market for implies an active transactional intent. You have the budget and the desire to acquire something specific.
Right. So in an IELTS speaking part 2 scenario where you're describing a shopping experience, you wouldn't say, I was on the lookout for a new car if you were definitely buying one. You'd say, I was actively in the market for a hybrid vehicle.
So a high-level practice question could be, why might a company publicly announce they are in the market for a new CEO rather than just secretly looking for one?
It forces them to discuss intent and leverage.
That is a phenomenal question. And bringing it back to take down a notch, instead of asking, have you ever had a funny mistake take you down a notch, pose a critical thinking scenario.
Like what? Like imagine a public figure who is acting arrogant on social media. What is a creative way the public might try to take them down a notch?
Oh, that's excellent. And for pinch me moment, instead of asking for a basic description of an event, ask, why do you think achieving a lifelong goal feels like a pinch me moment rather than just ordinary happiness? What does the idea of pinching imply about the reality of the situation?
It demands they parse the metaphorical origins embedded into the very phrase.
Exactly. That depth allows for active, long-term adoption perfectly.
Well, I think that covers all our main points.
Let's do a quick recap. Overall, we acknowledge the strong selection of highly relevant native-level idioms here, and the formatting of the lesson is clear and consistent.
But we do have 3 actionable steps for the author. First, consolidate the breakout rooms for better pacing so learners can build a vocabulary bank.
Second, tie the example sentences directly to the Victoria Beckham video context to create an immersive experience.
And third, deepen the practice questions to require critical thinking rather than simple word substitution.
We warmly invite the listener to implement these revisions and submit their updated lesson plan back in for another round of feedback in a future critique.
All right, and now it's time for our quiz. We are going to test your understanding of the advanced phrases we just discussed.
Here is how it works. We will read a sentence with a blank. You'll hear option A, option B, and option C. We will repeat the relevant phrase to remind you what you're trying to guess the definition for.
Please feel free to pause the audio here if you need to think about the answer.
We'll give you the answer right away, repeat the phrase, and quickly remind you of the example we covered earlier. Ready?
Let's do it. Question number 1. Ever since the indie band released their highly anticipated sophomore album, the lead single has been blank on all major alternative radio stations.
Option A, in constant replay. Option B, on heavy rotation. Option C, on steady playback. We are looking for the phrase that means playing frequently and deliberately, in constant replay, on heavy rotation, or on steady playback. Feel free to pause the audio here if you need to think about the answer.
The correct answer is option B, on heavy rotation.
Yes, on heavy rotation. Just like when you tell your boss the new marketing ad is on heavy rotation across the networks.
Question number 2. Despite having already watched the meticulously crafted thriller 3 times, the acclaimed film critic simply blank it.
Option A, can't make sense of. Option B, won't lose sight of. Option C, can't get enough of. Which phrase means having an overwhelming desire or appreciation for something? Can't make sense of, won't lose sight of, or can't get enough of? Feel free to pause the audio here if you need to think about the answer.
The answer is option C, can't get enough of.
That's right, can't get enough of. Remember the IELTS Part 2 example where you just can't get enough of your new landscape painting hobby?
Question number 3. Being invited to deliver the keynote address at the prestigious Global Summit was a genuine blank for the young researcher.
Option A, pinch me moment. Option B, shock me minute. Option C, wake me instant. We're looking for the phrase that describes overwhelming joy that feels unreal. Is it a pinch me moment, shock me minute, or wake me instant? Feel free to pause the audio here if you need to think about the answer.
The correct choice is option A, pinch me moment.
Yes, a pinch me moment, like standing on stage accepting your university diploma.
Question number 4. In an industry dominated by superficial networking and calculated public relations, the indie artist's decision to blank earned her profound respect.
Option A, hold it true. Option B, keep it real. Option C, play it fair. Which phrase means being authentic rather than just playing it safe? Hold it true, keep it real, or play it fair? Feel free to pause the audio here if you need to think about the answer.
The answer is option B, keep it real.
Exactly, keep it real, just like keeping it real with your colleagues about those difficult project timeline delays.
Question number 5. The devastating review from the renowned culinary critic served to blank the arrogant chef, forcing him to reevaluate his entire menu.
Option A, take him down a notch. Option B, pull him back a level. Option C, bring him down a step. We want the phrase that means reducing someone's inflated ego slightly. Is it take him down a notch, pull him back a level, or bring him down a step? Feel free to pause the audio here if you need to think about the answer.
The right answer is option A, take him down a notch.
Yes, take him down a notch, like the senior manager whose ego was taken down a notch by the junior analyst.
Question number 6. After struggling for years to find a dedicated audience, the tech startup finally began to blank once their revolutionary app was reviewed by top influencers.
Option A, shoot up. Option B, scale up. Option C, take off. Which phrase implies a period of struggling runway before sudden flight? shoot up, scale up, or take off? Feel free to pause the audio here if you need to think about the answer.
The correct answer is option C, take off.
That's it, take off. Just like reporting to your boss that Q3 sales have finally taken off. Question number 7. As the corporation is aggressively expanding its European operations, they are currently blank a highly experienced regional director. Option A, on the lookout to. Option B, in the market for. Option C, at the expense of. Which phrase means having an active, transactional intent to acquire something? On the lookout to, in the market for, or at the expense of? Feel free to pause the audio here if you need to think about the answer.
The answer is option B, in the market for.
Yes, in the market for. Like telling an IELTS examiner you were actively in the market for a hybrid vehicle.
And our final question, number 8. The billionaire philanthropist's compelling autobiography details his arduous journey to success, emphasizing how he managed to blank and build an empire.
Option A, come from nothing. Option B, grow from scratch. Option C, rise from poverty. We're looking for the phrase that specifically refers to overcoming a lack of socioeconomic status. Is it come from nothing, grow from scratch, or rise from poverty? Feel free to pause the audio here if you need to think about the answer.
The correct option is option A, come from nothing.
Exactly, come from nothing. Like discussing the relentless drive of a company founder who came from nothing.
That wraps up our quiz and our feedback for today.
Thank you for joining us on Superbly Said. We look forward to seeing those lesson plan revisions.